We have been here so long talking into these microphones. We could almost have done, and this should have just been our pilot episode of the podcast. Is trying to set up the podcast. I love it.
Are you recording? She's recording right now.
I had a feeling she was.
Yeah.
I knew at some point she was going to start randomly recording.
I don't know if that's how we should start it, but
genius though. You know?
Oh my god,
it's behind the scenes. This is the real podcast experience. None of that like beautiful bullshit. It's just like we don't know what the fuck we're doing. Welcome to whatever our podcast is titled.
We're singing and dancing around and just fucking around.
I mean, dancing in a podcast is not an effective medium to transmit this information, but I guess he's a magical dancer. Oh man, popping and locking.
Yep, can't even see this.
Oh man, it's like a bad Carlton, which apparently is not intellectual property that you can sue for. So good to know.
Yeah, what was the other one? Well, basically all the dances in Fortnite.
Yeah, like once Carlton started trying, backpack kid or whatever. Yeah, but like once Carlton tried to sue, everybody's like, wait, we can sue for dances?
Yeah.
Oh, it's on.
What was the one Alfonso
Riviera.
I don't know his name. I feel bad. It was.
Nothing better than talking about things you don't actually know anything about on the internet. That always ends.
Alfonso Ribeiro.
I knew it started with an R.
Yep.
I knew it started with an R.
You were so close.
Alfonso Riviera is someone. It's not the person we're talking about.
Talking about Carlton.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. And I was thinking of Scrubs too. Yep.
Oh, okay.
That's that main one.
Yes. Okay, so Alfonso Riviera, I believe a baseball player? No. Nope, not even a real human being. Nope, there's no one named that.
You made up a human being. This is the power that you have.
Well, I mean, I'm pretty good about it. Like, Alfonso Riviera, not a real human being, but apparently a baseball player.
Well, I went off of that like Riviera. I typed in Alfonso Rivera.
It did just bring up Alfonso
Ribeiro.
So a misspelled version of the human being I invented, thinking of trying to find someone else, still leads to that guy.
Yeah, but then apparently actually Alfonso Rivera has his own IMDb page, and he is known for such wonders as 1993, not going to pronounce that, that's in Spanish, and 2012 Vigor.
I mean, that's also probably in Spanish. So now you're just being selective.
Yeah, I mean, he was an actor in the 93 film, and apparently he was a director of 2012, so he stepped it up in about almost 20 years.
Can you not do math?
19 years, yeah, I can do that.
I mean, good for him. Good for him. I have neither starred in nor directed anything. So, I mean, who are we to judge? This is always a good thing to record for posterity. Just like an introduction to me about being a bad person.
Okay.
You know how at work we kind of love making fun of people's resumes?
Oh, yeah, that's great.
Yeah, I know. So was doing it. So my boss comes walking into the office with a resume, and he hands it to me. He goes, "Find what's wrong with this."
That's always great when you get handed a resume. What's wrong with this?
I'm like, oh no. So we're like going down the list. I can't remember the guy's name. It's probably for the best. And we're going down this list. And like in terms of like jobs, there was like a janitor that he'd been doing for like 6 years.
Okay.
And then like some like weird temp work that like I wouldn't have put on this. And then like at the bottom, it was like guest star in ER from like 1991.
Okay, that's relevant to.
I'm like, whoa, you're not letting go.
Yeah, that one time I guest starred on
on ER for an episode. It was an 8-day shoot.
Was he on the one with George Clooney?
I mean, I don't know. I don't. ER is not my specialty. I don't even know if ER was running in 1991. I just said a year.
It was George Clooney.
Well, I mean, he was in it, but he wasn't in.
It was
the whole
94 to 2009. So you're the dates off right there.
Well, I mean, I figured the show. I figured I was older than ER, so I knew that was kind of off. But he was in like ER in like some of the first couple years. It had been a long fucking time. So I'm like, oh, ER, huh? Like, yup. And in that second job he did, I can't remember what it is. But there was like a really noticeable typo, but it's not like a typo that was just like, oh, that's a nonsense word. It changed it to something that completely changed the meaning of it entirely.
Okay.
So we just kind of made fun of him for that too. And then when it comes down to his references, there was like his agent was on his list of references.
Oh.
And I'm like, I don't know if I'd want to.
The agent that got him a guest star appearance?
It like 30s, like 100,000 years ago. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't know if you should be. I don't think he's a good agent.
Yeah. I mean, what else is on the resume?
Oh, okay.
About acting?
Leaves and we're like, ha ha ha. But he like left the resume with me. And then went into the room. And so I was making fun of this guy to her because I'm a bad person.
Yep.
And then, like, well, he was on ER, right? Maybe he's on IMDb.
Did you look him
and
up
I go,
on IMDb?
Oh my God, you're right. So we look him up on IMDb. Yeah, he was. So right in his byline, there's like 2 sentences, like blah blah blah, like lives and blah blah blah.
Man,
is a strong representation of like acting, like this one group that was like represents actors with developmental disabilities.
Oh.
And I go, oh no. I've been making fun of a developmentally disabled person this whole time.
But see, is it worse to make fun of someone not knowing that they have a disability, or feeling bad that you made fun of them because you know they have a disability?
I don't know, but like, I mean, it just goes to show maybe you shouldn't make fun of people you don't know. But so I haven't made fun of resumes in a while.
Oh, well.
So I guess I learned my lesson, but you know, it's not a good place to be. Accidentally making fun of the disabled. Again, though, definitely better than purposely making fun of the disabled. But that's like, it's still not a good place to be. It's just better.
That's so bad. Well, yep. That's Kyle, everybody.
Yep. I make fun of the disabled on accident.
Yeah. So I don't know if you have seen something that I just finished watching, which was The Dragon Prince.
I have seen that it exists on Netflix. And I had heard about the first season and was aware that the second season came out.
Yes. So the second season just finished. I watched it in one sitting without getting up.
I mean, definitionally, that would be what one sitting should be.
Yes. I started like around probably like midnight one day and just kept going till like 4 a.m.
So it's only like 4 hours long.
Maybe it's like 11:30. I don't know. I don't know exact times. It was like last week or something.
I mean, it's like a half an hour cartoon, right? So I mean,
like 24 minutes, yeah.
Okay, I mean that's what a half an hour show really means.
Yes.
Like no
Without
one expects
commercials.
Yes.
So it, for those people like that don't know about The Dragon Prince, it was kind of like a spiritual successor to Avatar: The Last Airbender. In a sense, it was created and written by Aaron Ehas, who directed the Avatar series, and Justin Richmond, who seems a little new to the game because I looked him up and he only has a few things under his belt on IMDb, which includes directing Uncharted 3. Random. Yeah, that's like kind of the only thing.
He directed it?
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
I could have sworn he was not the director of Uncharted 3.
Well, I mean, he was directing.
Okay, gotcha. Because I'm like, I know who the director of Uncharted 3 is.
Yeah.
So
that's what it's credited to on his IMDb page. And The Dragon Prince was also directed by Giancarlo Volpe. Volpe sounds cooler, so I'm going to say that. Who also helped direct The Last Airbender.
The movie.
No, not the movie. We don't talk about that. That doesn't exist. But Avatar: The Last Airbender is probably the greatest show in history. Just putting that out there.
Bold claim.
Yes, that is my claim. But keep in mind that The Legend of Korra, which is the direct successor to Last Airbender, was directed by different people than the original series. There were some overlap.
Yep. Legend of Korra, a universally beloved show that no one dislikes.
No, yeah, it's people get a little bit of a different feel from Korra, and some people don't like it compared to The Last Airbender. But I think The Dragon Prince is excellently done. The first season did a lot of like world building, and in this show it feels more fantasy-like. And like in an interview, Ehas and Richmond kind of attributed it to being more like fantasy inspired by like Game of Thrones and Lord of the Rings kind of feel, as compared to the fantasy aspect of Avatar.
It's completely different kinds of fantasy, right?
Yeah.
Because I mean, like it's completely different mythologies. I think just by the title of The Dragon Prince alone, you can kind of feel like you're in a fantasy story.
Yeah, they were more towards like elves and like magic, as opposed to like bending. It was like more traditional, I would say.
Well, I mean, it's completely different, like nature of mythology, because like it's much more like Eastern sort of fantasy.
Yeah,
for Avatar. Yeah.
For Avatar, yes. But yeah, the first season was a lot of world building, done excellently, I would say. The second kind of drew off of that world building and very like expanded the universe even more. It's set in a fictional country called, it was one large country of Zadia, and then that was like basically where the elves lived, and they practice magic, environmental magic. It's called something specifically, I can't remember, but it's basically environmental magic. When humans came into existence, they couldn't do magic, but they kind of lived in spite of the elves and found their own dark magic.
I mean, if there were a bunch of elves running around doing like nature magic stuff, I'd be pretty mad at them too if I was just like, I'm just a dude.
And that kind of led to a war, and that split the nation into two nations, where East Zadia is basically where all the elves live, and West Zadia is where the humans live. And
separate but equal.
Not at all. That main driving force of the human empire, like why elves, kind of like there's a kind of despise between the both. I don't know
Are they at war?
They are at war.
Makes sense.
And their war that they're currently in was sparked by the human empire. I believe, if I'm remembering correctly, they killed the storm dragon king, and stole his baby, the dragon prince.
That's all coming together.
Yes. And or at least they thought to have, I believe they thought it to have been killed, the dragon prince, which sparked the war, and the dragon queen and like East Zadia with the elves, trying to enact revenge. And in doing that, they try to attempt to assassinate the king of the humans, of one human empire, or the kingdom that actually was attributed to having killed the dragon prince. But then when the one of the it's moon shadow elves, is this kind of like dark elf type thing. The moon shadow elves send assassins, and they run into the two princes of the humans, which are Ezrin and Callum. Interesting.
One of which definitely voiced by Jack DeSena.
Yep, Jack DeSena, who voiced Sokka in Avatar.
Also has a YouTube channel, and it's fantastic.
Does he really?
Yes, I will show it to you later. It's Jack and Chris. It's a bunch of sketch comedy, and it's amazing.
That's great. But yeah, Callum's basically the main character, along with his brother, his half-brother Ezrin, who is really the true heir to the king. And they find, along with one of the actual Moonshadow Elf assassins, they find the egg of the Dragon Prince. And they find out it's alive, and they basically task themselves with trying to end the war by returning the Dragon Prince egg to its mother in Zadia. So then it's kind of like that old, journey, just like in Avatar, how they're traveling to learn the different elements, but this is more so.
You got to take the ring to Mount Doom.
Yeah, you got to take the ring to Mount Doom, basically. And it's a really good story. It definitely has some of the charms of The Last Airbender, and I mean, I would definitely recommend it.
Cool. I mean, I'd heard good things about the show, but yeah, like I definitely heard kind of what you talked about with like the idea that like the first season was a lot of world building. I hadn't heard anybody talk badly about it. It's just people were like, yeah, no, this was like prefacing the stuff to come. Yeah,
it was definitely played off of that world building in the second season, and I would recommend both seasons. What is interesting is that the title screens for like each episode are really reminiscent of the Avatar ones. I believe the seasons are in books, like book 1, book 2.
They really like that, don't
and then
they?
the chapter 1, chapter 2, yeah, like that.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So like a big thing I knew about the series was like its animation style.
Mm-hmm.
I know some people weren't huge fans of it. It was like
I don't have a problem with it at all.
It was like low frames, right? I mean, I think it was like the same kind of idea as what people had problems with like Into the Spider-Verse before that came out and was like a gorgeous movie.
Mm.
But like I think I read somewhere that like it was like half the frames that like most normal animation has.
Actually, if I think about it, I kind of remember thinking that when I first watched the show, and I was kind of like off put by it. But I think either throughout the show or at least in the second season they definitely fixed that, because I didn't notice it in the second season at all.
I imagine that's kind of a thing you probably get used to pretty quick anyway. It's like I remember when my dad got we had like the same TV in my living room for like the longest time, and then he bought like a really nice like 3D TV.
3D TV.
Yeah, I know. It's such a thing that everyone has in their house now. But yeah, he's like, there's like a 3D television, Kyle, and I bought a 3D Blu-ray player, and I bought Avatar, and I'm like, oh, okay, cool. Well,
like James Cameron Avatar.
Yeah, like James Cameron Avatar. I'm bringing it all together. You understand?
Yes.
No, so because I mean, let's be honest. If you're gonna watch a 3D movie to show off your 3D TV, you're gonna watch James Cameron's
Avatar. I
Avatar.
think my grandmother also bought a similar TV, and my dad gifted her with Avatar on Blu-ray, and when we went to visit, we watched it like 4 times in a row.
Yeah,
awesome.
I mean, okay, but to get to my point of this, it's so that TV had a really high refresh rate.
Oh yeah,
And so that's a thing where like, I mean, if you don't know, I'm not going to get into the technicalities of this, but basically,
like 120 hertz.
Yeah. So it looked like it was running in magic speed.
Yeah.
And it looked like the most jarring thing I'd ever seen in my entire life. And I'm like, Dad, what have you done? You have bought an abomination. I will never get used to this.
Burn it with fire.
And then we got used to it by the end of the movie.
Yeah.
And it never became a problem again.
Yeah.
But it's just one of those things. Yeah, I think you just have to get like used to it after watching it for a little bit. I don't know.
That was one of the first things that I noticed about my grandma's TV.
Before we watched it. This is some weird shit.
Like it's like that soap opera feel.
Yeah, it's exactly what it is. It feels like you're watching a soap opera. It feels like everything's moving a little bit faster than like most normal television. And it's jarring at first, and then you barely ever notice it ever again.
Yes.
Yeah. I thought I read somewhere too that the second season did kind of improve on that. Like they still were doing like the half frames thing, but they found like better techniques and like ways of sewing it together to make it less jarring. But I just think that's kind of cool. I mean, they were even, if I remember right, like from what I read, they were talking about how they did do it to cut cost. They're like, we're not gonna beat around the bush here.
Well, yeah, because
you can do a lot of really cool things and also not have to pay a lot of money to do so.
Right. To be fair, in between my watching of the first season and the second season, there was a lot of time that had passed. So coming into the second season, and I probably wouldn't have been used to it again. So coming into it and watching it, and it seemed to be normal, then, I mean, obviously they improved on it.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right. But yeah, I was definitely planning on checking that out at one point once I finish catching up on all the other Netflix shows I'm watching right now.
Oh, yeah?
Which are like a lot. I'm like halfway through Umbrella Academy. I'm halfway through Russian Doll. First of all, I'm not going to go into this much. Watch that show. It's incredible.
What, Russian Doll or?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I mean both. But Umbrella Academy is really weird. You kind of got to be in the right
Umbrella
mindset
Academy,
for it.
I know before it was actually a show, I had wanted to read the... it's not a comic book. It's a visual,
comic book.
Or is it a...
It's a comic book written by Gerard Way.
Yeah, I know it was written by Gerard Way. I wasn't sure if it was a comic book or...
Cheyenne got very excited about that.
Yeah, she loves Gerard Way.
Who knew?
But I was going to read that, and then I saw it was... Netflix picked it up as a show, and I was like, whoa. So yeah.
The show's cool. You got to be in the right mindset. It's real goofy. I mean, just long story short, it's just like X-Men if Professor Xavier was like a terrible fucking person. And it's just all of these kids now grown up into adults, and they're all just horribly, horribly broken by what he did to them.
That's basically what I got from the trailer. So
yeah, I mean, it's enjoyable and it's good, but it's weird. And I like that a lot, but I don't think that's for everybody. Like, I would never have my mom watch this show, and she loves superhero stuff, but like, this is not her cup of tea at all. But no, Russian Doll. It's a great show. I don't want to get too much into it, but essentially, just like long story short, it's another Groundhog Day story. So it's like, every time I keep looping through.
Okay.
But she keeps dying, and it just keeps resetting time for her. But
so many of those. But
I know. But this is a TV show. It's not a movie.
Yeah.
And so like you'd sound like that would get old really fast.
Yeah.
But her approach to it is really interesting, and then the show keeps finding good ways of like keeping things moving forward. I don't want to like spoil anything, but also she's like a video game programmer, so the way she starts approaching problems and like understanding it is like really interesting.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Well, I know that kind of trope is really prevalent in. I know there's an anime, ReZero, Starting Life in Another World.
I love that show.
Yeah, Cheyenne hates it for some reason. She couldn't get through like the first episode or so.
Oh, to be fair, there's a strong streak of that show that's utter bullshit. I
Yeah,
hate it, but it's so good.
She couldn't get past like the first arc, and like she read the manga. She tried to make, because she thinks reading the manga is better than watching anime because she likes to read. So she was reading that, and she's like, she couldn't get through the second book. I think she's like, this is bullshit. Like, where's it gonna like start actually something happening?
I mean, you just got to be in the right mindset. For
Yeah,
it. But
it's that show I loved, and then towards the end, I was just like, "What the fuck?" Like it just blew my mind towards the end.
oh no, I know what you're talking about. That show I think did a very bold thing where it made you hate its main character for a huge chunk of the time. Like there's that like 2/3 bit where there's like that 2/3 of the way through the story bit where he's just like the worst and everything he does is terrible.
Yeah,
And I was like, this is bold because this is like 2 or 3 episodes of this.
yeah. I mean, that show too. Like some decisions that he made, I was just like, "No."
But luckily he can go back, except when he can't. And I love when that happened. When we found out, like, okay, it doesn't matter. We're off on a tangent.
We're always off on a tangent. That's the whole thing.
ReZero, good anime. Russian Doll, really interesting TV show on Netflix, available now. Netflix, sponsor us.
Yeah, please. We need money.
All right, but she's a video game designer. That leads to my little topic here. A certain little video game that came out in a couple weeks ago, and a lot of people are talking about it. So I thought I should give.
There's a lot of those, but okay.
I know, but
I know what you're talking about.
So Kingdom Hearts 3.
Oh yeah.
A game many people say 14 years in the making. It is not, but that's not the point. It's just been 14 years since Kingdom Hearts 2 came out, which I know if
that was, oh my God, that was like my favorite game. When my intro into Kingdom Hearts was I had a friend when I was much younger, and I went over to her house. She was like, her mom was friends with my mom, and we would play this game, Kingdom Hearts. And we were on this island, no Destiny Islands, and that was about the extent I knew about it. So then when I went home, I liked that game so much. I was like, "Mom, buy this game for me." Okay. So then we went to GameStop and we bought it. And I remember the guy behind the counter being like, "Oh, are you sure you want this one? It's the sequel," or like it's like whatever. I'm like, I didn't really know what that meant. And then I was like, "Oh yeah, I gotta get it." And I play it, and I'm like, "This is totally a different game. It's the same game, but it's the next game." So yeah, that was 2005 apparently, because that's when Kingdom Hearts 2 came out, because it was new when that happened. Yeah. And then I don't think I got to the very last level, and I never beat it.
You're the worst.
Yeah.
All right. So yeah, Kingdom Hearts, a storied franchise. Many games.
Yes.
Don't let the 3 fool you.
And they don't really make sense.
Okay. So now here's the thing. So the original Kingdom Hearts came out, like 2001, I think? I think it's 2001,
probably.
like 2001, 2002, right around there. The franchise has been around for like 18, 19 years. But while he facts check, I will just talk. So the original Kingdom Hearts, I went over to my cousin's house because there was this thing that my family would do where every 2 weeks, every other Saturday, we would go to my aunt's house, and our family would have like movie night.
Okay.
Watch movies.
It was 2002, by the way.
I was so close.
Yeah.
It was one of my options.
Yep.
All right, so 2002. And I guess in 2002, one of the times we were going over, my cousin, big gamer. I'm also a big gamer. I got a lot of my taste from him because I would play a lot of his games, and so that shaped me forever. But I remember going over to his house one week, and I see a game. It's a kid, like an anime little boy with big old feet and shoes.
Little boy with little spiky hair?
Oh, yeah. It's swinging a key around with Donald and Goofy running around with him.
A big key, mind you.
A big old key. That's a key blade. Blades are sharp.
Oh, it's a key and a blade?
It's not because blades are sharp. It's like a key club, but that doesn't ring. That's nowhere near as good.
Key club.
So, and then they're swinging around with Tarzan in a forest. I'm like, what is this game you are playing?
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I did the good version of your story. I went to GameStop and I bought the right game.
Yeah, I probably could have benefited from reading more.
So, Kingdom Hearts 1, that game has a special place in my heart. I love that game dearly. For anybody that doesn't know, the Kingdom Hearts series, it's basically it's a game series made by Square Enix, the people who make Final Fantasy. Very big RPG.
And there's some crossover there too.
Yes. So basically, the big thing is that like Square Enix, they were at a meeting. They're like, we need someone as iconic as like Mickey Mouse. And so one of the guys is like, what if we get Mickey Mouse? And so they made a pitch to Disney because apparently like Square Enix and like Disney Japan were in the same building for a period of time. Yeah. So it's like literally an elevator pitch. And so like Tetsuya Nomura, who's like a character designer for the Final Fantasy series, he was in the meeting with like a Disney executive. He's like riding the elevator with a Disney executive. He's like, I got a weird idea.
Is a wacky one for you?
What if you take your Disney stuff and we take our Final Fantasy stuff and we just kind of like mash them together? like
and
a Reese's.
Make a Disney Final Fantasy baby.
Yeah, and so that turned into Kingdom Hearts, which is a silly nonsense game where a little boy with a key goes around with Donald and Goofy to look for his missing friends going to Disney Worlds.
Yes, but what is the importance of this key?
Oh God, look, I'm not going to get into the nonsense of Kingdom Hearts. But basically it's a keyblade and it's like a powerful thing of light that goes around and you can lock the keyholes of all the Disney Worlds to try and save it. Look, it's a silly game.
Yeah.
But I was a child and I loved it and I still love it today, but I think that's partially nostalgia. But that game is a storied thing for me because that is definitely the single player video game I've beaten the most in my life.
Yeah.
I got to the point where I knew that game so well that I can beat it in a single day. And so I would have days as a child where I was just like, well, I'm going to play Kingdom Hearts today. And I would start it and I would finish it in that same day.
Oh my God, that sounds like a lot of work.
I mean, you can beat the game in like 9-10 hours if you know what you're doing. You can't skip cutscenes though on the original PS2 version. So that was that was a nightmare. But I loved the theme song for that game, Simple and Clean, so much.
Oh, Simple and Clean is great.
But to listen to the full version, like the only way you can listen to the full version of that song in the game is by beating it. It plays during the ending credits.
Yeah, I wouldn't know that.
Yeah, I know you wouldn't. So as a kid, what I would do all the time, just to listen to that song, is I would just load up the ending of the game and just beat the final battle. And that final battle is not short. It's like 13 boss fights in a row.
Yeah, that was the thing. I went back recently and tried to then beat them in chronological order.
You got real far.
Yeah, I got to the first one. I got to basically the final battle. But for some reason, it didn't save. I was like constantly on this final battle. Couldn't get through it. Didn't save, and I went back to what's the big guy on the mountain?
Chernobog?
Yeah, Chernobog. I got back to Chernobog. I'm like, I'm not going through this bullshit again. I quit. So then I loaded up the next one, which was 258 over, Chain of Memories?
Yeah, that would be Chain of Memories. Okay, so that kind of gets on the track here. So there's Kingdom Hearts 1, there's Kingdom Hearts 2, there's Kingdom Hearts 3. Now, you would think that if you play Kingdom Hearts 1, then you play Kingdom Hearts 2, then you play Kingdom Hearts 3, you would be able to follow a linear series of events. You would be mistaken. You would be so horribly mistaken.
You'd be so confused. You'd be like, wait, what?
Yeah, so I remember, between Kingdom Hearts 1 and Kingdom Hearts 2, which are on the PlayStation 2, there was a Game Boy Advance game called Chain of Memories. It was like a card battle game, basically. I mean, like, all of your attacks were like linked to cards. You would like run around all the Disney worlds you explored in the first game, except for Tarzan, because I guess they lost the rights. But
did they?
Yeah, they did. That's why Tarzan never showed up in another one of those games. Because it was like a weird in between, because they had the rights to the movie, but they didn't have the rights to the story, and so they were able to get it for the first game, but they were never able to get it again.
Oh, that's weird.
It's also why they don't re-release Tarzan, because apparently Disney doesn't have the rights to do it anymore. I don't know. That's just what I've heard. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
But the point here is that Chain of Memories, that everything about that sounds like it's like an offshoot side game that doesn't really matter. But if you did not play that game, you would have no idea what's going on in Kingdom Hearts 2.
That's why when I played Kingdom Hearts 2, originally when I played it, I didn't really know anything about it, just because that's where I kind of skipped the first one and I started the second one. But then when I replayed it, thinking back on it, I'm like, and I replayed the first one, I'm like, wait, there's so much stuff in between. I'm like, I don't understand still.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, if you just go from Kingdom Hearts 1 to Kingdom Hearts 2, it's like Sora, the main character of the series. He and Donald and Goofy manage to find all of Sora's friends, mostly Riku and Kairi, and basically save them. And he defeats the bad guy Ansem.
Spoiler alert.
Oh my God, yeah. And yeah, spoiler alert for an 18, 17-year-old game. But yeah, he defeats the bad guy Ansem, and he seals Kingdom Hearts.
But what is Kingdom Hearts, Kyle?
Oh, I'm not even gonna. So he seals Kingdom Hearts as the heart of all worlds or whatever. But you need to seal. By the way, the game doesn't tell you this. The first game, you find out this way later. But to seal Kingdom Hearts, you need to seal it from both sides, which is.
Don't they say that though? Because Riku seals it from one end.
Kind of, but they only kind of hint at it. It's it doesn't explain why you need to do that, or what that Keyblade that Mickey's using. The fact is, so Sora is on the outside in the real the world of light, and his friend Riku and King Mickey Mouse are in the world of darkness.
Oh, that's right. Mickey doesn't and is in the world of darkness.
Yeah, and they seal it from both sides, but locking Riku and Mickey in the world of darkness, and so. like the last thing Riku says to Sora, first of all, like it's just a tangent that always upset me with how many times I watched this ending. It always bugged me. Riku would like look at Sora, he's like, take care of her, talking about Kairi, and Sora's like, I will, and then they lock the door, and then like the worlds are reforming, and in the ending cutscene, in the ending cutscene, like the world is forming, and he's like, Kairi, I gotta go find Riku and Mickey, and she's like, come back to me. He's like, I will. She's like, I know you will. And then like and then they just leave. I'm like, you're really bad at promises, Sora. You literally made that promise like less than a minute ago, and you already broke it. You just ditched her on an island, and then you're like, oh, I'm off to explore some weird worlds. Yeah. And so like that's where you'd leave. You're like, oh, they're off on an adventure to find Riku and Mickey. And then like if you play Kingdom Hearts 2, the next thing you know is you're playing as some blonde dude named Roxas who's like hanging out with his friends
who the hell is this guy?
in a town. And you're just like, what is going on? And then like Sora's in a coma, and like all this crazy stuff's going on. We need to repair his memories.
Yeah, I had no idea what the hell happened.
Yeah.
I started like I said, when I started Kingdom Hearts 2, I didn't know anything about Kingdom Hearts 1, but I knew the main character. And then I started this random guy. I'm like, who the fuck? And then and I was like, what? And it kind of like flashes back to what happens, but at the same time, like, what?
Yeah. So like that's jarring, but the game does try to like explain what's going on.
Not very well, but yeah.
I mean, it's not good at it. The game's not explaining. The first Kingdom Hearts game is a very simple, straightforward, like lighthearted adventure.
Is it simple and clean?
I mean, yeah, it is. It's a G-rated game. No, it might be T. I don't even know. But
E?
Yeah, I guess it would be E.
Like G.
They don't make E-rated games anymore. They also don't make G-rated movies.
That's the difference between ESRB and the MPAA.
Whatever. The fact is, both G and E-rated things are not made anymore. If you notice, I think like 4 G-rated movies were released last year. 4.
Wow.
That's just I mean, it's such a limited category. Like, how do you even do it anymore? It's like, oh, is there any form of violence?
Everyone is desensitized to anything that's rated like E10 plus. And it's just like, oh, let's just make that or like PG. It's just like, yeah.
So, like everything's PG now because. It's like, is there any form of violence in your film at all?
Or like, is it anything that you wouldn't want a parent watching with the child? That's what G is basically. It's like, general audiences, but PG is parental guidance.
Yeah, so it's like, is there anything remotely questionable in this movie? Then no, it's not G. Okay, we've gone way off tangent.
Continue with your Kingdom Hearts 2.
So that's kind of like a straightforward thing, the first game. Jumping from the first to second game, you will be confused, but the game does try to catch you up. At the end of the second game, Sora, like, I'm not even gonna bother explaining all this stuff, but like Sora has defeated the evil organization and Xemnas.
Cool organization.
Yeah, Organization 13. There's 13 of them. Ignore the fact that you've already dealt with like half of them in Chain of Memories. So it's like the Organization 13. There's like 6 left. But so Sora like defeats Xemnas, who's the bad guy of this one, and also the nobody of Ansem from the first game, who was the heartless of. It doesn't matter. Yeah. It's all nonsense.
Terminology.
That game is like 90% terminology.
Isn't a nobody a heartless? Wait a second.
No. Just quick side note. So when you are killed in Kingdom Hearts by darkness, you're basically, your heart is taken, and it becomes a heartless. Odd term for, because it's a being of, it's just a heart. Why is it called a heartless?
That confused me. I thought it was the opposite.
Yeah, well, you should because if you're really strong of like mind or of like body, your body itself does not go away, but it becomes a creature called a nobody. Who named these?
Yeah,
they're backwards.
That's true though.
I know. Yeah, so Sora defeats it, seals Kingdom Hearts again, because that's all anybody can do in this series, is try and open Kingdom Hearts, and the heroes barely stop them from doing so. Ignore the fact that Kingdom Hearts is supposed to be like a portal of light. Why is it so bad that it opens?
Yeah,
I don't know, and I've played every game in the freaking franchise. So, and they do it, and everybody's reunited, everybody goes back to Destiny Islands, everyone's happy, the end. Like, they get like a little message in a bottle from Mickey, and they're like, oh, what is it? And that's like the last thing you see if you play Kingdom Hearts 2. If you open Kingdom Hearts 3 up, I don't even know how you would fathom what is going on. Because like,
how many games are between Kingdom Hearts 2 and Kingdom Hearts 3?
Technically, chronologically, there's only 2. There is
wow.
Yeah. There is a game called Recoded, which is nonsense bullshit, and it's basically a whole game developed to try and close a plot hole. And it actually
was a DS game?
Yeah, that was I think it was 3DS. No, it was DS.
Well, it was
You're right.
coded and then recoded.
Yeah, okay, so Coded was a phone game. Recoded was the re-release on a DS. That game has really interesting gameplay ideas, but in terms of a story, it's just a rehash of the first game again, which they love doing in this franchise. It's like, let's go through all the worlds from the first Kingdom Hearts game again. I know you did that in Kingdom Hearts 1 and Chain of Memories, but we know how much you love these worlds. Spoiler alert, I don't. They're kind of boring and repetitive. But gameplay was interesting. They would like change it up sometimes. Some worlds were like side-scrolling beat 'em ups. Like one world is a turn-based RPG. It's kind of fun.
Interesting.
Yeah. But then another game on the 3DS is Dream Drop Distance.
Yeah.
That game is the real Kingdom Hearts 3 because it takes place right after Kingdom Hearts 2 and deals with all the ramifications of the plot left over from Kingdom Hearts 2. It follows our heroes in the events after Kingdom Hearts 2 in a huge, important quest. It sounds like that should be Kingdom Hearts 3, but it's on a handheld, so I guess it's not.
Did you even mention Birth by Sleep?
I've not gotten to it yet.
Okay.
So Birth by Sleep, I also haven't mentioned 358 over 2 days.
Oh, that one's just a fucking movie. Like,
no, it's not. It's an actual game.
I know,
it's
but
just you can watch it as a movie.
That's what I did. I watched it as a movie.
I mean, the gameplay.
It's like 2 hours long.
Yeah, I know. It's way too long. First of all, as you might have been noticing with these names, they're ridiculous. Like we have games like Dream Drop Distance and Birth by Sleep, and literally my favorite, 358 over 2 days. Like, what does that mean? I know what that means, but it's nonsense words.
Yeah, I didn't know what it means, and then I watched it, and then I did, and now I forget.
I mean, it takes place over 358 days, and it follows Roxas, who's like half of a person.
That's right.
358 over 2. It's so dumb. I hate it.
Yeah.
So yeah, there are a bunch of important games that have very important plot points. In addition, there is a game on the PSP called Birth by Sleep that's like the prequel to the series. It takes place, I think, like 10 years before the events of the game. It stars 3 different characters. It's actually one of my favorite games in the entire series. But yeah, good luck understanding what's going on in Kingdom Hearts 3 if you haven't played literally all of these games. And so Kingdom Hearts 3, it's coming out for the PlayStation 4 and the Xbox One. No Kingdom Hearts game prior to this had come out on an Xbox console.
Yeah.
So like people were like really excited, like, oh, I finally get to play Kingdom Hearts. And so Square spent like the last couple years like re-releasing every Kingdom Hearts game in some form or another.
Oh, it pissed me off too, because
so there was like 1.5, which is like the first game and Chain of Memories, and 358 over 2 days turned into a movie. And then there was 2.5, which was Kingdom Hearts 2, Kingdom Hearts Birth by Sleep, and then Recoded turned into a movie, which is great. Let's take a game with a terrible story and good gameplay and cut out all the gameplay.
Those are both released for the PS3, right?
Yeah. So both of those were released for the PS3, and then they were kind of thrown together
on the PS4
on 1.5 plus 2.5 on the PS4
HD remix.
Yes. So
that's what I bought recently.
Yes.
And
it's a great deal, honestly.
It's
a lot of great games.
Except, like a few months later, 2.8 came out.
Okay. Yeah. I'm gonna get to 2.8 in a second. So, but here's the keynote here. So you have 1.5 and 2.5. It's all the games in the franchise, essentially, except for like Dream Drop Distance. And so, yeah, let's put that in the PS4. And Xbox One, you'd think, correct? Wrong. That these never come out on the Xbox. They've worked hard to re-release all of these games, and they will never release it on half of the consoles this game, the sequel is coming out for. Why did they do this? I don't know, but it's Square. They make weird choices. Yeah, so a couple months later, then they announced Kingdom Hearts 2.8. Final, like it's literally
Final mix.
I can't remember what it's called. It's Kingdom Hearts 2.8.
Oh no, the 1.5 plus 2.5 I think it was Final Mix because it's like the last.
Yeah. Well,
last
it's remix. No, well, okay. I'm not even going to get on to the Final Mix versions of things. Yeah. The fact is, 2.8 is basically Dream Drop Distance and like a whole original movie called Back Cover, which is basically like an adaptation of things going on in the cell phone game. Can't miss the cell phone game. Like Unchained Key. They changed the name too. So like
Union Cross.
Yeah. They changed the name from when I was playing it to whatever it is now. So I don't even know anymore. They literally changed the name of the game.
Or like Unchained Cross.
Yeah.
Like that little X. But
Key.
It's
Key.
Oh, is it Key?
It's Key.
Cross. Okay.
It's Key. Don't worry. That's incredibly important to the franchise. Because there's the Keyblade, then there's the Keyblade.
Oh, the Keyblade.
Yeah. Yeah. I hate it.
That's fucking dumb.
I haven't even talked about Kingdom Hearts 3 yet. So, and then in addition, there is a like a little mini game called Kingdom Hearts 0.2 Birth by Sleep Final Chapter Prologue. That is, what does that even mean? But basically, it is a game that stars one of the 3 characters from Birth by Sleep, who is stuck in the realm of darkness, and you just kind of play as her. It's like 3 hours long. It's actually, it's basically like a side story, but it's also like a tech demo for Kingdom Hearts 3. They basically are like, hey, this is your first chance to play like this game in engine with the battle system. It's actually pretty fun. I really liked it.
I didn't know what that was.
But it's pretty short. It's like you're not gonna buy this whole like $60 game for this without feeling like really ripped off.
Yeah.
But it is new content that is story important that you can only buy if you buy this re-release of this other game. I hate this series so much, and I love it, but I hate it. And then they bundled all the games together. Yep. And then they bundled all the games together and Kingdom Hearts 3, which is what I bought to buy them all.
I didn't even know they did that.
Yeah, it was $99 for Kingdom Hearts 3, Kingdom Hearts 1.5, 2.5, and 2.8. It was an amazing deal.
Well, because like when I got 1.5 and 2.5, and then like a few months later they came out with 2.8, and they bundled it with 1.5 and 2.5 for the same fucking price that I bought. 1.5.
No way.
Yeah, it was literally the same fucking price. And I was
that's
like,
awful.
I'm so pissed right now. But then I bought 2.8 separately. So.
Yeah. Okay, so let's get to Kingdom Hearts 3. This game, so yeah, it's been like 14 years since Kingdom Hearts 2 came out. So people are saying it's a game 14 years in the making. I think they were working on the game for like 4 years in reality, because there were so many other games they were working on in this franchise. Plus the director was busy making Final Fantasy 15 until he didn't make Final Fantasy 15 anymore. Doesn't matter.
Okay.
So Kingdom Hearts 3 comes out and people are fervent about this game. Let's just say it is highly, highly anticipated because it's basically being treated as the finale for the story so far. They've gone on record saying it's not the last Kingdom Hearts game, but it is going to tie up.
Really?
Oh yeah, no. There's definitely another game coming.
God.
Come on. But spoilers, I guess. There's more Kingdom Hearts games coming, but they said that in interviews. But the whole point is that it like ties up like the Dark Chasers Xehanort storyline that's been going on since the first game.
Master Xehanort. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that's like the whole dealio. Its whole point is that it's supposed to tie up basically all the loose ends for this story thread, except for the ones they purposely don't want to tie up. I will say this. The story is an indecipherable mess in the Kingdom Hearts franchise, and somehow they managed to tie up all the loose ends in Kingdom Hearts 3. I'm impressed. I was actually legitimately impressed. Like, there are payoffs to games. There's like payoffs to stuff that happens in Recoded. There's payoffs to stuff that happens in Chain of Memories. There's payoff to stuff I forgot existed.
They were paying attention. Yeah.
I mean, if somebody was.
Yeah. Here's a question I have though.
Yes.
Because I haven't played Kingdom Hearts 3 yet.
Yeah.
But I have heard because in one and two, like a big part of those games were the Final Fantasy characters.
Yes.
But I've heard in Kingdom Hearts 3 there are no Final Fantasy characters.
There are Moogles, and that's it.
Oh my God! How?
Look, okay, let's be entirely honest here. I also missed the Final Fantasy characters. I love Final Fantasy. It's one of my favorite franchises. But there are so many original characters in Kingdom Hearts now. Like,
really?
They're just full of them. And like no one stays dead in this franchise ever. So
okay.
So like they're all running around, plot relevant, and there's like legitimately like the big, without like spoiling too much, like the big thing about the game is you need to assemble the 7 heroes of light to fight the 13 bad guys. Like the 13 pieces of darkness, because the Keyblade was split into 20 parts, 7 of light and 13 of darkness.
What the fuck?
So you need to basically assemble an equivalent amount for each of them to truly rebuild the real Kingdom Hearts. Yeah, I'm not kidding. Yeah, that's the evil Master Xehanort. That's his plan the whole time.
Okay.
Because if he opens Kingdom Hearts and he gains the power within, he'll basically become a god. That's like his goal.
Right.
Yeah, I know. It's dumb. So the big thing about the game is like you need to assemble your 7 good guys, all 7 Keyblade wielders, and then the bad guys are assembling their 13 bad guys, and then you need to clash in the second Keyblade War, and that's like the whole point of the game.
But the first Keyblade War was like in the prequel, right, or like something else before?
Okay, so the first Keyblade War took place like hundreds of years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think it was touched upon in like
it's touched upon in the movie back cover in 2.8.
Okay.
That's kind of like covers the events of the prequel, like the events of what caused the war, and then the cell phone game is the war.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. It's completely unimportant. I wouldn't worry about it. Well,
I've played it,
but you have to get really far to start actually getting to like the real plot.
Yeah, because I'm like I don't understand what's going on. I think it's just like I'm just clicking and like everyone has keyblades and stuff.
You know it. Yeah. So Kingdom Hearts 3, yeah, there's like 100,000 original characters. They do not have time to fit any Final Fantasy characters into it. I kind of get it. If they tried to shoehorn these guys in, it would feel crowded. but that's because the game is incredibly crowded. Kingdom Hearts 3 is a good game. I think anybody who says it's a bad game is like talking out of their ass.
Okay.
It is well built.
I haven't heard that it's bad. I've heard
Yes.
controversial things about its gameplay. And
The
stuff.
game is gorgeous. Like, it is beautiful to look at. But it does have, let's say, some bullshit in it. So Kingdom Hearts 3 is a game where every great idea it has is in somehow either like magnified by or contrasted by something bullshit. So Kingdom Hearts 3 is a really good battle system that constantly gets in its own way. So one of the cool things that they talked about was like occasionally you'll be able to use like attraction abilities, which are like special abilities inspired by Disney rides.
Oh, I have seen those.
Yes.
Okay.
So there's like the teacups,
Yeah.
or the pirate ship, or like the roller coaster in very like scripted moments, or like the Buzz Lightyear blasters. Like they're kind of silly. Now, if these were used in moderation, they'd be good because they're really powerful. Especially the pirate ship. It's like an instant win thing. You just like swing back and forth and you shoot like water death and everything dies.
Water death.
It's kind of hilarious. But the problem with these are that you basically get them every fight. Like every single fight, there's a little circle on an enemy. If you hit that enemy, you get it and you can use it. These just kind of like turn every battle into like just hit the thing and get the mini game and win. So like there's a really good battle system in there. The only way to use it is to not play efficiently and use the actual like and just ignore the attractions.
Oh, that's disappointing.
And so that's what I started doing because I'm like, this game is not hard. That's another problem.
Right.
It is not hard at all. I'm playing on the hardest difficulty. Kingdom Hearts, despite the fact that it seems kind of kiddie on the surface, it should, like, you'd think it'd be easy. And on, like, easy mode it is. But on the hardest difficulty, these games are tough. Like, really challenging.
What is it, like proud mode?
Yeah, proud mode or critical mode in a lot of the other games, too. So, yeah, I played proud mode in Kingdom Hearts 3. This game was a cakewalk. Now, I died a few times because you basically just, like, get hit for a lot of damage. That's the only reason it's tough. The enemies are not smart. Things are super exploitable. And I think the final boss killed me like 4 times, but that's because there's like a bullshit section where you can't heal. And that's it. So it's not hard. And I just kind of like steamrolled my way through the game. I tried not to use the attractions, so battles just took longer than I think they were intended to because you were expected to just be able to do a bunch of damage because of the attractions. But
that's odd programming.
Yeah. But the biggest problem I think in the entire game, and it's hard to say this because it's so key to the Kingdom Hearts franchise. Kingdom Hearts, these games, you are a dude and you travel to Disney worlds and you help the Disney problems and you kind of go back through the Disney movies and or like little offshoots of them, and it's fun, it's cute. Like you party up with like famous Disney characters and solve their problems. So Kingdom Hearts 3's biggest problem is that it has Disney World. And I'm not just saying that because the Disney worlds themselves aren't terrible. Most of them aren't. Some of them are not good. But you have like a good selection, and most of which are like new to the franchise. So you have like returning favorites like Olympus Coliseum, except you don't actually have the Olympus Coliseum. You just have Olympus. It's like a big sprawling world. You go to Thebes, stuff like that. It's kind of cool.
That's interesting.
No, it's kind of cool.
Coliseum was like a big part of the...
Yeah, there's no actual Coliseum in this game, which is kind of disappointing.
Well, ironic because Coliseum was kind of all there was in the other ones.
Yeah. Now they have everything but that. You climb Mount Olympus. It's pretty cool.
I see that. That could be cool.
And that's like the first world in the game. It's your real introduction to the game. It's a good start. So you go to Olympus. It's like your first world. It's like a nice return to form because like Sora's trying to get help from Hercules for something. Plot reasons. Dumb plot reasons. And after you do that, you start like jumping around to a bunch of different Disney worlds. There are 8 Disney worlds in total. There are 3 returning and 5. So
is Frozen one of those new ones? And then
yes.
Tangled.
Yes.
And
yeah.
I don't know the rest of them.
Okay, so the 8 Disney worlds in the game are you have Olympus Coliseum, the Caribbean from Pirates of the Caribbean, and
is that Port Royal, right?
No, it's actually called the Caribbean.
Oh, 1 and 2 was Port Royal. Right?
Yes, yeah. But it's very different in this game. It's the best world in the game.
Okay,
easily. And the 100-acre wood.
Right.
Those are the 3 returning worlds.
Is that like the same? Is it?
It's a bunch of mini games, except this time it's the same mini game 3 times.
Oh, that's great.
It's not a bad mini game, but yeah, it's kind of dumb. But you finish it in like 40 minutes, and you're like, okay, cool, I'm done. Bye.
100% this game.
Yeah, I'm never coming back here again. Thanks. Bye. And so there's those, and then there is as Chase mentioned, there's Frozen, Arendelle. There's Tangled, Corona. There is Monstropolis for Monsters Inc.
Oh, right.
There's Toy Box for Toy Story. And then there is another one that I can't remember off the top of my head. Oh, San Francisco for Big Hero 6.
Right. Never saw that movie.
Yeah, I didn't either until right before the game came out because I needed to see it. It's a good movie. It's enjoyable.
Okay.
But so those are like your 8 Disney worlds. The problem is like half of them aren't very good and all of them are too long. Basically, all of the worlds. So the worst world in the game is definitely Arendelle for Frozen. And I know there are Frozen fans out there that are like, what? But no,
I've seen Frozen so many times.
Yeah, no, it's 100% true. That game is basically like, oh, Elsa looks sad. Let's follow her up the mountain to see if she's okay. And then you get to the top of the mountain,
Let It Go?
and she sings all of Let It Go in Engine. So you just basically watch Let It Go again, except it's all in Engine from Kingdom Hearts 3. And truly, to be fair, impressively, you cannot tell the difference. It looks exactly like the movie. Except occasionally to prove a point that it's still an engine, occasionally you'll just like see Donald and Goofy and Sora in the background, like, whoa, there's an ice castle.
Well, it was an ice queen.
Yeah, and then you fall off the mountain, and they're like, we should go make sure Elsa's okay, and you climb up the mountain again.
What the fuck?
And then you get up to the top of the mountain, and you fall off the mountain, and you're like, oh, we gotta go see if Elsa's okay, and you start climbing back up the mountain again. Luckily, you don't have to climb it all again. You get derailed by plot. But I'm just like, oh my god. Yeah, so they thought a good idea would be to literally have all of Let It Go show up. And then you start talking to Anna at one point, and it starts like a flashback, and you're like, oh no. And you see little Anna walking towards the door, and you're like, oh no.
Oh no.
and knock, 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 and do you want to build a snowman starts. I'm like, oh no, not again. Luckily, they cut that one a little short, even though I do love that song. It's actually very cute. But they cut that short, and you're like, oh, okay. I thought they were just going to keep showing off. But the world is just super repetitive. It's all just snow. It's a snowy mountain. And so it's not visually impressive.
Right.
And
Was in Arendelle, was that the only music that was there? Or was like in Corona, was there also?
Oh no, this is the only level in the game that ever jumps into being a musical.
What the fuck?
It just takes a pause to be like, we have famous songs. And we're going to make you listen to them. Every other Disney World that has music doesn't happen. There's no songs. They don't make you stop and listen to it. It was just a bold choice. I didn't like it.
Yeah.
But some of the other worlds are fine. Like Corona's fine. It does some fun little things where like Rapunzel is just like so fascinated by the world around her. You can take opportunities to like use magic to like interact with the environments in unique ways that like she's like, whoa, because she's never seen anything like that before. It's kind of endearing. That's like kind of what saved it for me, honestly.
Right.
Monstropolis is fine. It takes place after Monsters Inc. So it's like a quasi sequel. Nothing much happens of consequence, but it's kind of cute just seeing like where the characters are after the events of the movie, which is nice.
Mm-hmm.
But same thing, similar thing with Toy Box for Toy Story. It takes place between Toy Story 1 and 2.
Okay.
I didn't really like this world. It's not bad, but like Buzz and Woody don't act like themselves at all.
Right. So there's no Jessie.
No. Yeah, no. But Buzz and Woody don't act like themselves at all, in my opinion. And it just kind of was jarring.
Is it voiced by
no.
Tom Hanks? No.
No. They did get Colin Hanks doing his own brother impression. He does that a lot, actually. Colin Hanks commonly voices Tom Hanks characters in animation when he needs to come back and do stuff that he doesn't want to do.
That's hilarious.
I mean, hey, it's
Why
a
would you not want to do Toy Story, though?
Well, I mean, it was like a random video game. I'm pretty sure he's busy voicing Toy Story 4.
A random video game. Kingdom Hearts 3. Okay.
Okay. They managed to actually get like the entire Frozen cast back. They got a couple people from Tangled. They got a lot of people. They got like the entire Big Hero 6 cast back.
Right.
So like that was impressive. A lot of these worlds are just like meandering bullshit. And here's the real problem with these worlds though. Whether the good ones or the bad ones or whatever, this is the structure of the game. After you beat Olympus Coliseum to start the game, you go back, you get some plot, and then you go to a world, and there's a cutscene with some plot, and then you go to the world, and there's a cutscene with some plot, and then you go to a Disney World, and plot, Disney World, plot, Disney World. You do this for like 20 hours, because each of these worlds takes like 2.5 hours to beat. And it wouldn't feel so bad if these like plot cutscenes felt like they were important, but it felt like every other important character in the game is treading water until Sora finishes the Disney Worlds. And I wish that and I thought that wasn't going to be what was happening, because like right after you beat like the first Disney World after I think Twilight Town's an original world, but it's one of the worlds you stop by. I think as soon as you beat that, you play as Riku fighting alongside Mickey in the World of Darkness trying to save Aqua, one of the characters from Birth by Sleep.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, cool. So we're going to be jumping between multiple characters. We're going to be accomplishing things while Sora's on his stupid bullshit Disney quest. But then they fail, and they're like, we got to regroup. And they just like go back. And like I'm not gonna go like much farther than this because like story spoilers, but basically like it keeps cutting to all the characters and they're all just like treading water until Sora finishes his stupid Disney bullshit. And so it keeps basically what all these cutscenes are. The game makes you think that it's plot happening, but it's really just reminding you other characters exist until you get to the end of the game. And so about 20 hours into the game, you're going to hit that point where you finish your last world. It's probably going to be San Francisco. And then the game starts. I wish I was kidding, but that's basically how it feels. You're like 20 hours into this fucking video game, and the plot starts happening, which is a ridiculous statement. There's about like 5 to 6 hours of the game left. And to be fair, they're the best 5 or 6 hours of the game. That is when they are working to resolve all the plot holes. They are tying up all the loose ends. They're paying off things that have been in the making for like 16 years. Mm-hmm. And it works really well. The problem is it's too much to happen in like 5 or 6 hours. It feels super rushed and super like anticlimactic, even though like on paper it all looks good. And if I read you the list of all the stuff they do, it sounds really cool. But it happens so fast, back to back to back, that it all just feels really rushed and like problematic. And if they could have found some way to pace this better throughout the game between the Disney worlds, or honestly, I know this sounds heretical because I am a Kingdom Hearts fan, but if you could have just cut the Disney worlds out entirely.
What?
And like just, there is enough original worlds and original content in Kingdom Hearts now. I know they wouldn't. They got all that Disney money to get. But if you could have somehow cut out all the Disney worlds and actually spread this plot along and give it like the Keyblade War it deserves, instead of like a Keyblade battle between some people, it would honestly be a better game. And I know that's heresy because I usually love the Disney worlds, but just with this game, it building up to be like this climax of this whole story, it just feels false.
Oh, that's sad. Oh, quick correction. It was actually Jim Hanks who voiced Woody in Kingdom Hearts 3.
Oh, okay. Well, I knew it was one of the Hanks brothers. It's normally Colin Hanks. I know that. But okay. My mistake. The wrong Hanks brother.
Yes, thank you to our producer Cheyenne for bringing that to our attention.
I mean, that is her job.
I would also like to point out that Drake Bell spoke for a character.
And Drake Bell was in what? Really? Who?
Yeah.
Drake Bell voice acts. That's what he does mostly now.
I don't know how to pronounce that.
Young Ericus.
Oh, okay. So Drake Bell voices. This is very important. Drake Bell, famous from Drake and Josh.
Yes, Drake and Josh fame.
Mm-hmm. He voices young Ericus. Ericus is a character from Birth by Sleep. He was the master for a lot of the heroes from that. Ericus, very important. His name is just Square backwards.
Yep.
Yep, it is. Because Square saw that Disney got Yensid, and they're like, oh, we're cashing in on that.
Oh, Yensid. Oh.
Did you never understand that Yensid was Disney backwards?
No, I never understood that Master Yensid was.
Yeah. Yeah. So Yensid also in Kingdom Hearts because, we got everyone in this bitch. Yeah. So they're like, oh, we're cashing in on that. So like Ericus is like the big good, as is Yensid. Like the two of them are like the super awesome, big, heroic characters that just don't help much. They just kind of like in their respective games just kind of send people to do stuff.
That sounds great.
Yeah. Like Yensid's incredibly powerful. He's probably the most powerful person on the hero side. And he gets like one moment in the entire franchise where he does something important. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, there you go. So Kingdom Hearts 3, a heretical statement, probably would be better without Disney in it.
You heard it here.
So yeah, everyone can hate me now. I love these games. This is probably my least favorite game of the main 3. It's still a good game. Like I do not regret playing it at all. But the big problem is I've been waiting for this game for fucking ever. And I was mildly interested in playing a remake of a horror game I never had played. Resident Evil 2, which came out like a couple days beforehand. And one of those games has a special place in my heart, and it's not the one I thought it would be. Oh. So there's my ramble on Kingdom Hearts 3 and its bullshit. I still play it, but expect that it's not a masterpiece. It's a bit of a masterpiece.
Masterpiece. Well, I haven't heard that one before.
I'm so sorry. I couldn't help myself.
Yep. Well, that's probably where we're going to end this episode. Thank you for listening. If you're tuning in here, we'll be back after probably a break, record some more episodes. This is basically we're testing out right now. If you want to hear more from us, then you can hit us up on social media. We have a Facebook page, Zym Media for now. And yeah, thank you for listening.
Yep, I'm Kyle Grubb. That's Chase Matherly.
Yes, that is important information.
Yeah, our names.